In this episode, I'm going to show you how to solve one of the most common and most fundamental data management challenges, which is how to make sure that all of your KPIs and reports and dashboards aren't strewn around the place with everybody wondering what they're for and how to use them, but instead they're wholly relevant to your business, they're well adopted by people because they know how to use them in ways that generate real benefit for your business. I'm going to be talking about data insights a lot in this episode. And data insights is, of course, just a collective term that I'm going to use to refer to KPIs, reports, dashboards, data analysis, all of those sorts of things. That's what I mean by data insights. Let's start by having a look at some common objectives around data insights. The first one I want to touch on is how we produce data insights. Of course, we produce data insights to deliver benefit and create value to the business. We don't do it just because it's fun, right? We need to have data insights that are there for a reason and they're doing a meaningful job. And that job is, of course, driving achievement of the business's goals. This is a point I touched on in episode 1 when I talked about the difference between data driven and data busy. To make sure that we are definitely data driven and not data busy, our data insights need to drive achievement of the business's goals. That's the first objective. The second objective builds on the first objective by saying that we need to drive achievement or make sure that our data insights drive achievement of the business's goals by ensuring that they're wholly relevant and actionable. So this is how we do that, really, isn't it? We make sure that data insights help our business to achieve its goals by making sure that they're relevant and actionable. And then again, we build on that second objective by saying that we ensure that data insights are relevant and actionable by being closely aligned to the way that people and processes in the business need to operate. We can see a theme here, we can see sort of a story going throughout all of these three data insights objectives. We need to make sure that they are driving achievement of the business's goals, otherwise what's the point, right? We need to make sure that they're doing that by being relevant and actionable, and we make them relevant and actionable by closely aligning them to the way that the people and processes in our business needs to operate. So those are three, say, quite common data insights objectives, and I'm going to talk to you today about how to achieve those. So what I'm going to be showing you today is called an insights architecture. So let me first explain what an insights architecture is. Very simply, it's a map. So it's a simple mapping framework which classifies data insights according to the business goals they support, so that they are wholly relevant to those business goals, and also how they must be used to be effective. So how we're going to use them to achieve those business goals. When we classify data insights in this way, it means that we can see how they're aligned to the business. They can be deployed more rapidly. There's fewer questions and delays about, is this the right KPI? How is that report relevant? Let's get that mapped out first. Let's create that blueprint of how our data insights are relevant to the business so they can be deployed more rapidly, become easier to use more effectively because people have that map. There's this document in the business or documents in the business that explain these are your data insights, this is how they're relevant, this is how they should be used and the value that should be coming out of them. And they create more business value by being more relevant and easier to adopt. So we get away from the situation where we've got lots of reports and dashboards all flying around the business and no one's really sure what they're for or how to use them. Let's solve that. Let's create this map, let's create this insights architecture which explains and visualizes the answer to that question. So in summary, an insights architecture achieves this close relevance between your data insights and your business goals and your processes by mapping out how those insights are going to drive the achievement of your business's goals. And it does that in a way which both validates that alignment so we can see it and it's clear to us, and then it communicates that to everybody who needs to use those data insights or frankly trust their output and use them to make the right decisions and take the right actions, rather than the opposite, of course, which a lot of businesses experience, which is lots of delays and blocks to productivity because we're questioning those data insights. That's what an insights architecture is, really. It's this mapping framework. It's a map that explains and visualizes and communicates how all of the data insights in our business align to the business and how we need to use them. So let me summarize the explanation of what an insights architecture is by briefly going through the benefits of an insights architecture. So these are why it's important and valuable to have an insights architecture in your business. So firstly, assures that KPIs, analysis and reports are highly relevant to business processes. No more guesswork. We can see exactly what KPIs, analyses and reports are relevant to the things that we need to do in order to achieve our goals. Second benefit is that by making your data insights wholly relevant in that way, we can ensure that people are going to use them. We can explain that to people. This is how they work. This is the benefit they're going to generate. So we yield greater adoption and the insights deliver greater effectiveness. Third benefit, because people are using them more, that increased adoption effectiveness naturally generates a high return on investment for those data insights in your business and all of the investments gone into the skills and the technology to create them. Again, this is something I covered in episode 1 when I talked about being data busy. If we're pouring lots of effort and investment into the tools and the technology and the people and the processes required to generate these data insights, but then at the end of the day, no one's really sure what those data insights are for or how to use them, then of course the return on all of that investment is going to be pretty low. So this is the third benefit, making sure that everything that's gone into getting to that point where someone's got a data insight in their hands or on their screen, that the value isn't lost at that point. Fourth benefit, standardizes this top-down approach. So insights architecture is not the whole picture, it is a picture, but it's very much a top-down picture. So this is all about standardizing what I often refer to as the backbone of information in a business. You know, we can see as a business what it is we're trying to achieve, those are our goals. We know as a business what we need to do to achieve those goals. That's our operations, our processes. So let's take that awareness and translate it into what it is that we need to know in order to operate those processes in a way that achieves the goals. So that's a very top-down standardized approach. There is of course a bottom-up approach which says, let's not come at this from the angle of what is it we know we need, but let's let the data talk to us. Let's let the data reveal to us answers to questions that we haven't even thought to ask yet. So this isn't bottom up, this is very much top down, but it's often, nearly almost always actually, good to start with that top down approach. Let's get that backbone of information in the business. Once we've done that, we're in a safer place in terms of taking well-informed actions and decisions, and also of course we've done a lot of things to our data to get them ready for some bottom-up insights as well. But this standardizes, insights architecture standardizes this and documents this top-down approach. And then finally, fifth benefit there, facilitates continuity and control as the business analytics needs evolve over time. So if we've got this blueprint, we've got this map, which our insights architecture is, that's something we can use to say control change over time when the business inevitably changes, and that means we need to revisit what data insights, what KPIs, what reports are relevant and necessary and actionable. We can use that map to compare where we've been, have a look at where we need to go to, and then adjust the map and always have that blueprint for what the right data insights in the business need to be. So rather than allowing the business to change and evolve over time and then realize months or even years later that our reporting hasn't kept up with that change, insights architecture helps us to keep all our reporting relevant over time. So those are the benefits of having an insights architecture. Okay, so let's get into the next really important piece of information, which of course is how. How does an insights architecture work? How does it define and visualize arrangements of insights and analytics which help the organization to achieve its goals? So I'm going to start by showing you the whole big picture. Now this isn't an actual insights architecture, this is a diagram of course of the framework that an insights architecture uses, and towards the end of this episode I'll show you some real examples and I'll tell you how to get some real examples as well, so you can use those and have a look at those. But this abstractly is the structure of an insights architecture. So I'm going to build this up step by step and explain to you what's in here. So the first step 1, outcomes, goals. Okay, so eyes on the prize always need to be focused not on what's the right data visualization tool for us to be using, what's the right graph for us to put in that dashboard, what's the right KPI. Let's leave that alone for a moment. Let's focus on the actual way, of course, that data insights deliver value, and that's by, as we've said, helping the business or driving the business to achieve its goals. So we need to start with those goals. So the first step is we answer the question, what's the business trying to achieve? The second step is operations or processes. So we've just articulated what does the business need to achieve, what's the business trying to achieve. Now we summarize how are we going to do that? What are the processes that are going to lead us towards the achievement of those goals? And then thirdly, insights. What is it we need to know? Okay, so these are at a high level the information that we as a business need to be fed into those processes. Those processes are fully informed, sufficiently informed to do what they need to do to achieve the business's goals. So that's step 3, insights. And we're halfway through already. There's 6 layers in a insights architecture, and this first top layer we call our strategic insights architecture for what are probably obvious reasons. We're very much focused on the business's strategy here. Again, in episode 1, when I talked about the difference between data-driven and data-busy, I talked about something which thankfully we hear lots of data management practitioners talk about, which of course is the really important need to make sure that a data strategy and the data in a business is aligned with the business strategy and the way that the business works. And that's exactly what we're doing here. We're saying, what is it that the business is doing and why? What does it need to be doing? And therefore, based on that, what does the business need to know? And that gives us our first high-level understanding of what kind of data insights do we need in the business. So as it says, this classifies what data insights will empower different groups of our processes to achieve business's goals. So that's our top half, strategic insights architecture. Now, of course, we need to answer, now that we know what insights are necessary, we need to work out how those insights must be fed into business processes. So we've done the what, now we're going to do the how. And the first thing is KPIs. So some of that insight that we've recognized that we need is going to take the form of KPIs. Of course, we need those KPIs to do what they say on the tin, indicate to us our performance in achieving those business goals. So KPIs attached to goals. Step 5, we then recognise that KPIs on their own are not enough. KPIs, the job of a KPI is to alert us to a need to take action or make a decision relevant to that particular goal. So if we've seen the needle on the dashboard is heading south or is in the wrong place, the next thing we need to do, of course, is understand why. Why is the status of that KPI what it is? And for that, we need analysis, of course. So we need analysis to uncover or reveal the root causes behind the statuses of those KPIs. And then finally, step 6, once we've understood a need for an action or a decision through our KPIs, we've understood what the root cause of that KPI status is, so we know that where or kind of what kind of action we need to take. We then need the information to enable us to actually take that action, of course. So we need operational level detail that informs that action that we need to take or the decision that we need to make. So that's step 6, reporting. What information do we actually need to do the thing that we recognise that we need to do? This is all about, of course, actionable data insights. The key word there being actionable. If we've got all these insights in the business and yet we're failing to do the thing that we need to do with them, well, that's worse than having no insights at all, because we've spent all this money and put all this investment into creating an insight, which we're then not really doing anything with. So KPIs, analysis, reporting. We had a strategic insights architecture in the top half. This bottom half is what I call our tactical insights architecture, because these are the tactics we're going to deploy to deliver those insights that we've recognised that our business processes need to achieve our business's goals. So this is our tactical insights architecture, as it says there, classifies how. We first talked about or discovered, analysed what insights do we need. Now we've converted that what into how we're going to deliver those into the business. And there's some really important reasons that we do all of this. This is the first one. Tactical insights architecture is essential because we have what's called an insights lifecycle in every business. This is basically where we recognise that KPIs inform the direction of our activities, which analysis then helps us to understand, as I mentioned a moment ago, what the root causes are, where do we need to take action, what kind of action needs to be taken, and then those decisions feed into the operational level information and reports. Now, if the actions that are taken based upon that intelligence are not performed in the systems that are generating the data which feeds those KPIs, then we're never going to see the results of our actions in those KPIs, are we? So we need to make sure that all of the data behind this tactical insights architecture is linked up in this way in order for it to work, right? So we recognize that we've got KPIs consumed on a fairly low frequency, so perhaps weekly to monthly, analysis consumed on a slightly higher frequency, so perhaps daily to weekly, and then even higher frequency hourly to daily reports informing those processes, informing those activities on the front line. So being able to see how KPIs, analyses and reports work together is essential to making sure that this insights lifecycle in the business is joined up. There's another really important reason for having this tactical insights architecture, or rather the whole architecture, not just the tactical part, the insights architecture, and that's what we call vertical delivery, right? So a common mistake that a lot of businesses make when they are aiming to sort of rejuvenate the reporting in their business is to start with an executive dashboard. First set of deliverables, or first milestone in our reporting project, let's get some new dashboards at the top of the business that see all of our KPIs. Now, there's a few reasons why that might be seen as a good idea, but there's one really important reason why it's quite a bad idea, and that's because of what happens next. So what happens next is the leadership in an organization will receive a new dashboard. They'll feel great for a moment because they've got all these new KPIs and it's tangible, right? They've got their shiny new dashboard. But then what's realized quite soon after that is that we can't actually do anything with this, right? Because we can see all these KPI statuses, but when we try and dig into that red light that we can see on the dashboard and understand why is that light turned red and what do we need to do about it, we're in the desert, right? There's no analysis or reporting there, or if there is, it's just what we had before. We haven't got to that yet. So what happens? People try and respond to the increased awareness at the top of the organization by spinning up another spreadsheet or running another query. And what are we doing there? We're just generating another data silo, right? So let's not do that. Instead of delivering horizontally, we deliver vertically. So with our insights architecture, we're able to say to all the stakeholders in the business, look, this is how the insights hang together, and the first set of insights that we're going to create and deliver are these ones. And yes, that will mean that the first version of your new dashboard has got maybe only 1 or 2 or 3 KPIs on it, but the rest will follow next in further sprints. And in each sprint, those KPIs, few as they may be initially, are absolutely wholly underpinned with the analysis and the reporting that we need in order to respond to them. So we're building slices of data-driven capability in the business, slice by slice, piece by piece, never with this sort of vanity approach of creating dashboards that look great for a moment and then we realize that we can't really do anything with them. So vertical delivery, super important. It's really hard if you haven't got an insights architecture, and that's of course one of the reasons why having an insights architecture is so valuable. So that's what an insights architecture looks like. As I mentioned, strategic stuff at the top. What does our business look like in terms of its goals and its processes, and therefore what do we need to know? And then tactical below. Now we know what we need to know. How does that pan out into KPIs and the analysis and the reports that we need in order to make this work? So that's insights architecture. So I'd like to show you an example of what a real insights architecture looks like, and towards the end of this episode I'll tell you how to get a copy of this example. There's a couple of examples actually that are available, but let me take you through this example now. So this example is based on customer goals. So I've just talked about how we need to start with goals. So goals really is what defines an insights architecture. A business doesn't have just one insights architecture, a business will have many. And the difference between each insights architecture will really be the goals that the insights architecture relates to and ultimately drives. And in this case, the example is I've got 2, as you can see here, 2 customer goals, which we're going to have a look at. So let's just have a look and see what we've got here. First thing I want to do actually is start over on the right hand side. So we've got this sort of sequence here. You can see do what, know what, so what, now what. Now this is sort of a handy little catchphrase really that we use a lot at Truly Intelligent Business when we're creating insights architectures for our customers. What this means is it really just sort of summarizes the insights architecture explanation that I've just been through for you. Do what, of course, what is it we're doing as a business? Know what, based on what we're doing, given what we're doing, what is it we need to know? So what is, if we know those things, what's it going to mean to us? And then finally, and arguably most importantly, now what? What are we going to do about it? And again, this goes back to the point I made earlier about actionable insights, keyword there being actionable. We're getting that KPI or that analysis and we're just sort of looking at it, feeling informed, and then moving on and not actually doing anything differently, then arguably, what's the point? Now, I say arguably because some people would say, well, the point is that I know now, I feel better informed. And there is, definitely value in that, but I think it's important to be clear on the difference between value of feeling informed, having a sort of information-driven comfort blanket, difference between that and actually having information that we can use to make better decisions or take better actions. So think about it that way. The decisions we make, the actions we take, is it affecting those? Yes, great. Let's understand how, so that we can make sure that that actionability is there. If it's not about the decisions we make or the actions we take, and it's just that I want to know, fine, but let's not confuse that with actionable insights. It's just insights, right? So do what, know what, so what, now what. I say it's a handy little catchphrase, and because that's something we try and embed into the thinking. This is all about cultural change ultimately now. Something we try and embed into the thinking of anybody in the business who's asking questions about or looking for solutions in how we as a business are informing what we do. So that's something we'd expect to hear business analysts saying, project managers saying, have we thought about the reporting here? No? Excellent, right, let's have a look at it. What do we do? What do we need to know? What's that going to mean to us? Now what? What are we going to do about it? Do what, know what, so what, now what? So that's the first thing. And over on the left-hand side of this example insights architecture, you can see the steps that I've just been through really. So we've got the strategic insights architecture at the top, which is all about what data insights will empower the processes to achieve their goals. And of course, underpinning that, we've got the tactical insights architecture, which as I mentioned is all about how. How will those data insights empower processes to achieve their goals? And those are the simple questions that we need to answer at each stage. What's the business aiming to achieve? What does it need to do to achieve that? What processes are, what do those processes need to know in order to be successful? And then how are we going to monitor the performance of achieving the goal, our KPIs? How will we uncover the root cause story behind the KPI, which is our analysis? And then how will we inform our actions in response to those root causes? Those are our reports. We'll have a look at some examples here. So the goal in this case, common customer goal, reducing cost per contact. Right? So that's what we're aiming to achieve. How do we do that as a business? In this example, we're focusing on two ways. We want to automate our customer interactions so they cost less, and we also want to ensure our customers are self-serving as much as possible. So again, cost per contact is reduced. So that's what we need to achieve, or what we're aiming to achieve, and what we need to do to achieve it. And then know what do we need to know? Well, when it comes to customer interaction automation, sort of things we need to know are how many contacts, how many customer contacts are digitized? How much have we automated our customer interactions? How much automated contact do customers receive? Things like this. And then on the self-serve piece, what we need to know is how many issues are successfully resolved by customers themselves. So when we have that understanding of, okay, this is what we need to know, then we can start to apply it to those three layers. So KPIs, KPI that relates to that goal. So that's what we're thinking about when we think about KPIs. What indicator or what information will indicate our performance of the achievement of that goal? And of course, when it's cost per contact, reducing cost per contact, the KPI is cost per contact, right? So what is the cost per contact over time? What is that needle that we can see sort of going up or down? So that's our KPI, cost per contact. The analysis, right? So the question here again, how are we going to uncover the root cause story behind the KPI? If we can see cost per contact going up, which we don't want, then where do we need to look for possible root causes? First thing is channel, right? So are we seeing that cost increasing in a particular contact channel? Are we seeing any channel increase in volume? So are we seeing cost per contact go up because we're seeing more contact through a particular channel? And when it comes to that self-serve piece, what rate are we resolving issues through self-serve? So these are the kind of the analyses that are going to indicate to us where's the root cause of a change in that KPI coming from. There's going to be more, of course, but this is just a simple example. And then finally we have that last layer, which is about reports, of course. So how must we inform our actions in response to those root causes that we've just seen in the analysis. And again, just some examples here, the kind of detail that we need at the reporting level. Analog customer contacts that could have been digital, stands to reason, doesn't it? If we're trying to move our customer contacts from analog to digital, we've seen that in the KPI, we've used our analysis to understand what and where are the customers who are still analog. This now is the detail on exactly who are those customers. In order for us to shift them to digital, we need to be able to pinpoint them. So we've got some detailed information, some reporting about that. Another example, customer issues that could have been self-serve resolved. Similar thing really, isn't it? Kind of trying to move more customers onto self-serve. Ultimately, we're going to need to know who those customers are. Important point here is we don't want that detail at the beginning. We've arrived at this level of detail by going from a KPI that's told us that some kind of action or decision is necessary because of the status, something in the status of our achievement of the business's goal. So we've seen that in a KPI. We've used that awareness to direct our attention to analysis that's uncovered a root cause. So that's zeroed us in, not in the example here of all of our customers everywhere, but on specifically which customers where aren't we seeing the outcomes that we're looking for. So we've got to this level of detail by coming through KPIs and analysis, which of course is the right way. That's the way that this should work. So I'm going to leave the example there. As I mentioned a couple of times in the video already, this example, there's another example as well which talks about data quality goals. So what does a data quality insights architecture look like? Or rather I should say, what does a data insights architecture for achieving the goal of zero defects from data quality issues look like? So we have that example as well. So if you want this example, if you want the data quality example, just head on over to the Truly Intelligent Business website. I'll put a link up on the screen now as well. There'll be a link in the description. Follow that link and that'll give you access to those examples I've talked about, so you can have a look at them in a bit more detail. So yeah, I'm not going to go through this in any more detail in this episode, but yeah, safe to say you can get the example if you want it. But that's what an example data insights architecture looks like. So you saw and heard my explanation in the earlier slides about how it all hangs together and how it works. You've got the strategic insights architecture at the top, underpinned with the tactical insights architecture at the bottom. This is what it looks like in practice. So that's it for this episode. I just want to summarize what I've taken you through really by thinking all the way back to the beginning of this episode where I talked about this is about solving a very common and very fundamental challenge, data management challenge in any business, which is how to get away from information overload, how to not have this situation where we've got lots of reports and dashboards flying around the business and no one's really using them and no one really knows what they're for, and get to a point where everybody knows what the data insights are for and everybody is using them in a way which generates benefit for the business. So that's really what we're aiming for here. This is what this episode has been about, how to solve that challenge. And the way to solve that challenge, as I've shown you, is with this thing called an insights architecture, which makes sure that the KPIs and the reports, the analysis in your business are absolutely relevant to your business by being fully aligned to what information your business processes need, and of course why the processes need that information, which is to achieve your business's goals. So it maps all that out. Think about it like a blueprint, right? We don't want to build a large building without having a blueprint. We don't make it up as we go along. We have a blueprint. That's what an insights architecture is. So we have an insights architecture that ensures that our data insights do create value for the business by being wholly relevant to the business's goals. And of course, by having this map, we can also show people the map. We can show people that these are the insights in the business. This is this backbone of information that I mentioned earlier on. So when you are trying to fully inform the decisions we make and the actions we take, this is the information we have. This is the map of information that aligns to that. So when people know that, people much more readily adopt the reports and dashboards, and not only adopt them, but of course use them. So that's that now what element. So know what, so what, now what. Are we actually doing the thing that we need to do with these insights that's going to make a beneficial difference to the business? So that's what we've been through in summary. I'd encourage you to do this basically, right? So if you're not using anything like this in your business, if you're not using Insights Architecture, and this is a new topic to you, then yeah, definitely give it a go. As I mentioned earlier on, follow the links, go and get some examples, have a look, and if you've got any comments about that, so pop them down below. I always like to hear about hear how it's going in businesses that are starting this for the first time, and if you need any help, and you can contact me on the website. That's trulyintelligent.business. So that's it. There you go. Insights Architecture. I hope you found that useful, and I'll look forward to seeing you again in a future episode. Cheerio.